What is going on, everybody? It is finally time to get this engine back in that car. Now first I got to get it back up off the ground. Yes, I realize I put it on a tire. My engine stand, I put it in quotes because it's really crappy and like 40 years old. My engine stand is at my dad's house and that's 2 hours away, so I'm not going to drive all the way to go get it. So I just set it in a tire. I'll jack it up the rest of the way to the engine hoist and then I'll paint the sump. I've got new valve covers for it. I covered all this in the last video. It doesn't matter, but I'm excited because it's finally time to start reassembly. So I've got my new separator plate, my new clutch, my new flywheel, my new all of that good stuff over there on the tailgate of my truck. So I'm gonna get this thing in the air. I'm gonna start getting those parts on. I'm gonna get the bell housing on. It's over there drying. The headers are currently drying. I sprayed them with a bunch of, they're there right there. I sprayed them with a bunch of muriatic acid to help get the rust off. Once they're dry, I'll hit them with a wire wheel. I did rinse them off with some baking soda and water. I didn't just put muriatic acid on them and leave it. But once they're dry, I'll hit them with a wire wheel, some brake clean, and paint them black so they look nice. And so that they can go back on the engine. I have new gaskets for them. I've had those for a long time. It's besides the point. Roll the intro and stick around. Okay, I got this thing back up in the air. Now this is a message for all the people in my comments that want to scream and yell at me that this is not how you're supposed to do it and you're using the wrong tools and so on and so forth. I don't give a okay? This is the spirit of hot rodding. It's about making what you have work and doing it anyways. There are a lot of people out there building cars with a lot less than I have. At least I have a barn and a portico. Some people are doing this in the grass behind their house. Now, don't unalive yourself. Don't be stupid. Take precautions for safety. Do not climb underneath the engine. If you're gonna put it on jack stands, at least put them on a block of plywood or something so that they've got a firmer footing. But there is nothing wrong with making it work with what you have as long as you're not deliberately injuring yourself. Is this the safest way to do it? Absolutely not. The safest way to do it would be on a concrete floor in a shop with a lift. Bad news, I don't have that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the clutch assembly and all that stuff bolted to this engine and the bell housing in it, and then I'd like to get the engine back in and at least set in the car. I might not tighten anything down yet, but I might even put the accessories on it. I haven't decided yet. Those are gonna be a lot easier to do when it's out. So I'm gonna do all of that, and when I come back, that will be finished. I wanted to say just real quickly, this is actually a Summit Racing 28 ounce imbalance 157 tooth flywheel. It's like 120, 110, something like that on Summit's website. I bring that up because the one that Modern Driveline sells, it's also very, very nice, but it's like 260 bucks. And I didn't feel like spending 260 bucks. So I bought this one from Summit Racing instead. I'll try to link it below down in the description. But if you have a 289, 302, and you're trying to put a T5 on the back of it, you're gonna need a 28 ounce imbalance 157 tooth flywheel that fits a 10.4 inch clutch for an 86 Fox body. So you're gonna need this flywheel. Also, if you have a 351 Windsor, all 351 Windsors are 28 ounce imbalance, but the truck motors are 164 tooth. So you'll need to get the 157 tooth to make it work in a Mustang. This also applies for a Fox body because when you do a T5 conversion, essentially what you're doing is putting a Fox body, bell housing, flywheel, and clutch assembly on it with a Tremec T5 transmission. But it's important to understand that the Fox bodies post 81 are all 50 ounce imbalance. So you can't just take a Fox body flywheel and bolt it to the back of your 302. It's gonna vibrate really bad if you have an earlier 302, which this one's actually a 74. If you don't already know, here's how you tell what year your engine is. You have a little serial number right here. Mine says D4DE. D denotes 74, and then DE is the series. It was designed for a Maverick, but this was actually out of a pickup truck. So C is 60, D is 70, E is 80. So if it's E3 or E4, there's a pretty good chance that it's a 50 ounce imbalance, and you need to pay very close attention to that when you're getting a harmonic balancer and a flywheel. All right, the engine is finally ready to go back in. I've got the clutch and the bell housing on it. I've got the fan and some of the accessories back on it. I went ahead and I bolted the starter to it as well because that's actually really, really hard to get to once the engine is in. You can see this is all ready to go. I had to cut the shift assist lever off of the throttle linkage, which this car has gone through an incredible transformation. It started life as a straight 6, so this throttle linkage actually went all the way over. Sorry, this throttle linkage actually went all the way over because it's a straight 6, and then it had a little shift assist lever. Well, I never put the shift assist back on it because I always just shifted it by hand, and then I heated this with a torch, and I bent this into place to make it a V8 throttle instead of buying a V8 throttle. One of the best decisions I ever made. But I'm gonna go ahead and get the engine back in and sitting in place, and I'll catch up with you then. Okay, I don't know where I left off, but I got it jacked back up in the air again. It's on some jack stands in the rear. Not my favorite, but I shook the car really good, and it's not moving, so I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm gonna go ahead and lift the headers up into place and at least start 1 or 2 bolts so that they're there but loose. And then I'm gonna quit procrastinating, and I'm gonna get this T5 in. Because what I've been doing was messing around getting like the radiator and all this stuff in, which is needed, but the engine is sort of sitting like that because there's 65 pounds on the back of it now that there wasn't before, and I don't want to break my motor mounts. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the transmission in it, but like I said, first, I gotta get the headers in. Okay, I have no idea what all I have for footage. Some things got corrupted when I tried to import them, so I'll just show you where I'm at now, and whatever footage I have left I'll put before this. But it's really easy. Got the carb on it, got the headers on and tightened up, got the distributor back together, got the fuel pump all hooked up. I'll see if I can take you underneath the car for just a second. Okay, let's go underneath the car for just a second. Ugh. Golly, got a lot of room under here. So I got the T5 in, I got the trans mount in. Yeah, there's not a lot really going on. I got the drive shaft back in it. So again, I don't know how much is saved on the iPad, but I'm gonna go ahead and put the key in it. I've got the battery hooked up, I've got the neutral safety switch jumpered, and I'm gonna try to start it for the first time. I don't have the cooling system in it yet, so I'm not gonna let it run very long. I just wanna make sure that it starts. Obviously the engine was out for a prolonged period of time, so let's do that. I wanted to add a little post-edit note here. The reason it starts so quickly is that it had been sitting for a little while, and I wasn't sure if the oil system was primed or not. So I unplugged the coil from the distributor, and I cranked it quite a bit to make sure that the oil system was adequately primed. So I'm sure you heard it. That starter sounds absolutely awful. I gotta see if I can figure out what's going on. I know I ordered the right flywheel, and I know I ordered the right bell housing, but I'm gonna hit some forums and see if anybody has anything to say about the starter, because it shouldn't be grinding like that. I don't know if you heard it. The starter sounded absolutely awful when it hit the flywheel. So I'm gonna see if I can figure that out, and then I'll get back to you guys. All right, so for the most part, it's put back together. I've got the Mustang Steve clutch pedal. You can see the T5 sticking up right there. Let's see. I've got everything on it now. There's no coolant in it, so I need to go buy coolant. I know I need to go buy some transmission fluid because there's not enough transmission fluid in it. I got the Mustang Steve clutch cable run right here. I'm gonna fix this later. I'm just trying to get it in here. I ended up going on this side of the header, and then I ended up putting a little clamp way down there. I'm sure you can kind of see it right there. Anyways, I ended up putting a clamp on it so that it'll not sit on top of the header. The headers are very much in the way. Eventually I'll do a hydraulic clutch, but now it is time to make sure it works. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start it. I don't actually need my foot on the brake, but I'm gonna start it, and I can see the wheel right there in the reflection of my Miata. So let me see here, make sure we're in neutral. That feels really good. So I'm gonna go to town now, and I'm gonna get some coolant for it. I'm gonna get some oil for it, get some transmission fluid for it. I'm gonna top all those things off, and when you see me again, we're gonna be going for a drive. Okay, I've got the transmission full. I've sort of burped the cooling system. I'm just gonna take it for a quick lap around the neighborhood and make sure everything works. If I've got time and space in the iPad, I will take you with me. If not, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, join the Discord, go build something, and be easy. If I have time and there's plenty of space on the iPad, then I will do this again and film another outro.